Hello, everybody, and welcome to NXT with Najee, a part of the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast, aka The Whip Show and BodySlam.net. We are here with episode 53. That's right, it is season 3, episode 3 of NXT with Najee. It's like basically like a homecoming episode of NXT, if you must, since they were in Houston last week and now they are back in Orlando. But as always, I am not alone. This week, I reached out to a certain podcast, maybe even that podcast, if I must, uh, to reach out to a good buddy of mine. I've actually been blessed enough to be on their podcast a few times. So that is, well, just once actually, but that's still pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Mr. Brian Cristy.
Unbelievable. Thank you, Najee. Appreciate the introduction, the invite. We'll definitely have to get you back on our pod in a little bit. And congrats on the bodyslam.net partnership, man. That's awesome. Big things happening and going to continue on, I think, for the rest of 2025.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. It's
Of
a
course, buddy.
blessing truly to be able to have that kind of like outlet to even be able to put my stuff out there and have more people
Right.
listen to it. But hey, you guys are part of that journey too, man. Being featured on your podcast and a few others has really, opened some doors and opened some ears, I guess, if we must.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, we been doing our thing with that wrestling podcast for God, I mean, just over 4 years now, I want to say. It's crazy. I know we had episode 250 about a month ago, and we
Wow.
do it every week. We have literally not missed a week in the 4 years we've been doing it. They typically come out on Fridays, sometimes Thursdays, depending on our recording schedule. And we're just having a ball with it, man. And it's cool to just, how else would I have met you and met Whip and anybody else in the wrestling community, man? It's really cool to be a part of it, just a little small part of it. And we have fun doing it.
Oh yeah, dude, you guys are incredible. You guys are incredible. Oh, but where can people find your podcast if they like to listen to it?
Yeah, YouTube is the best, man. It's youtube.com/ that wrestling podcast. We have over 4,200 subscribers. We've been lucky to have a couple of videos that we've done from doing like being in the live crowd at some of the big events going viral, which is so cool. And we've kind of been able to pick up some followers from that. So it's youtube.com/ that wrestling podcast. And we're on all the regular podcast outlets of Spotify and Apple Pod and everything else. It is that wrestling podcast, kind of inspired from the old like that 70s show. So
Yeah, I
that's
love it.
kind of how that all came
I
together.
love it.
So yeah, man.
Heck yeah. Well, dude, all right, we're gonna jump right into this episode now. So, like I said, this is now the homecoming episode for NXT after them being on the road. We kick things straight off with Miss Jada Parker versus Jasmine Nix. This match, as you could hear from the crowd, they were chanting "Thank you, Jesus" for like 90% of that whole entire match.
Did you
It's
start
really
that?
funny. I didn't start
Did
that
you
one. I
start
didn't start
that?
that one.
All right, just
Those are
checking.
my boys up top. That was those are my boys up top. But
All right.
I thank you, Sean. Great match, great matchup. It's good to see Jasmine in the ring. We don't get to see Jasmine compete too much. She's basically been kind of riding the bench a little bit for Fatal Influence. So it's nice to see her get out there and incorporating those soccer moves. This is really a soccer versus soccer matchup here for these two ladies.
Good point.
But I do think that it's a little wild still that Jasmine gets a lot of hate for her like style of wrestling and her not necessarily being involved as much in the ring. But I have nothing negative to say about Jasmine, dude. The Pele kick that she's now incorporated into her thing is incredible. But I do have to say that there is nobody else right now in in NXT that has as much of a pull and as much of a pop as Jada Parker does right now. Like she is so over in that building, it is ridiculous. Long story short, we will just jump right to the conclusion that Jada won. Jada won this match. But I have a question for you. Do you think that this is now the time, like they're just now starting to pull the trigger on Jada moving forward?
I do. And it seemed like from the previous week and kind of how the show was starting up, it was kind of it's her on one end and Lash Legend on the other. And kind of what direction is it going to go? And obviously, we'll talk about what happens a little bit later on during the show with Lash's match, but we kind of know kind of the direction that she's headed now. So seeing all that play out, I do think you're right. I think it's her time. I think she's going to be, especially now that the Blake Monroe Jordan things kind of, shifted off to a different level as well. which I know we'll get into. So
Hmm.
it seems like she's the next one up. I'm totally fine with that. You're like you said, the crowd is all into it. I think her character work is pretty much flawless. So I think nothing but sky's the limit for what happens next for her.
Yeah, 1,000%. I definitely think it's time. Like with the so-called draft on its way,
Mm,
we're still not sure when it's gonna happen, but
right.
people like Lash are gonna be gone. People like Jordan are probably gonna be gone. There's a lot of heavy hitters on the NXT roster that are gonna be gone, and that leaves it wide open for Jada to finally be able to, come through and do her thing and just really be a champion because everybody wants her to be a champion of some sort, even if it's the North American champion or the actual NXT title. So hopefully. Jada Parker, hopefully this is your time. This is just the beginning to that journey because we're getting sick of seeing you sitting on the side of that ring looking upset and heartbroken. For real.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, so now we're going to jump into match number two, which was Tavion Heights versus Charlie Dempsey. Tavion, this is now a second chance for him to potentially be free of the NQCC. Not a bad thing. I like him with that group, but Miles has been shining. He's kind of fallen into the background a little bit, but Miles shined right when he got out. This camera is really going to drive me crazy.
I don't know, man. You're powering through, but gee
I'm
whiz.
trying, but yeah, guys. So if y'all hear me fumbling over my words a little bit, it's because I'm trying to like still be a good host and fix my camera at the same exact time while making this work. But yeah, so Tavion wins. He's out of the NQCC. Incredible technical match, exactly what you would expect when it comes to these two. Um, Tavion wins, which is awesome. So shout out to Tavion being free. What do you think is going to happen for Tavion next? Do you think he goes after the North American title? Do you think he goes straight after the NXT title, kind of like Miles did? What do you think really comes out
Yeah.
of this freedom that Tavion has now?
Well, I'll tell you, man, I was watching your episode last week or previous week talking about like who's the guy to take it from Oba? Who could
Hmm.
that be? I don't think he's ready yet, but I see enough in him that if it's say 6 months from now, he could be that guy. I watch him, man, and it's the little things with him of like his aggressiveness and his athleticism. Like just the way he runs the ropes, is that there's there's a little something extra, a little extra gear with him than with some of the other guys that I see. So, I mean, I would think for the next step, yeah, somewhere in that North American title mix would be. I would love for him and Miles to get back together, thankfully. I mean, they had that one takeover tag team match, I think, against Fraxium.
Yeah,
And
I
they
wouldn't mind it either.
killed it. They killed it. They were kind of newer, like that was their first big showcase, I felt like. I'd love to see them get back together. I don't think it's going that way because, again, we've got Miles with Lexus King, and now that we know that Tavion's out of the club there. So I don't
Hmm.
know quite what happens next, but I think, again, the ladder. Let's take those steps up because I just see something, a little something in him that maybe I don't see in some of the other guys I've seen weekly on the TV.
Yeah, and I believe it too. I think he already has it. He's already gone overseas. He's got the experience,
Yes.
dude, and he crushed it when he was in Japan. So
Mm-hmm.
that's already a big, foot ahead of everybody else as it is, because that's the
Bingo.
kind of experience that most people in that locker room do not have.
Right.
And dude, it's just great. He can talk on the mic. He can back it up in the ring. He's believable in the ring. And that's the biggest part is being believable. Like the
Thousand
last
percent.
the last two or three people that have gone against Oba, unbelievable, unbelievably believable.
Mm-hmm.
Yoshiki, hands down, one of the biggest like, oh shoot, somebody might actually do it moments. And then
Right.
like, but with Tavion, I feel like it's a really good matchup. And even with Tavion and Ethan Page, I think it would be a really good matchup
Yes.
because Ethan can be the physical guy. Ethan can also be the technical guy. So that just gets me really
Yeah.
excited for his future, man. So shout out to
Exactly.
Tavion Heights. Shout out to Tavion Heights and his future. Now it's the no, I guess real no quarter catch crew because only 25% of them are left.
Right.
Well, half of them, I guess, are left. But I guess Charlie's only got one quarter now in his in his
Yeah.
catch
And
crew.
so what is going to happen with Ren? Like, are they
I,
going to still buddy up? I
I
don't
don't know.
know,
Like, does
right?
Ren
Yeah.
Russell Charlie for her freedom? Like, like,
Out of the box, yeah, but that's
yeah,
going to be interesting. She's staying loyal to the end or how that plays out.
yeah. I mean, she's done a really good job of being loyal to both sides in
Yeah,
both
right.
situations. Like when Miles was fighting for his freedom, she was there for Charlie and Miles in the corner. Same
Correct.
thing for this last little feud. So we'll see. Very interesting future ahead of Taviana and Charlie
Yeah.
Dempsey. to say the least. All right. So now we're gonna jump into match number three, which is Lash Legend versus Fallon Henley. This is another stipulation in order to chase JC Jane and her titles because Lash said she was coming after her
Yeah.
immediately, even before the Masha match. Lash said she wanted the number one shot. So the stipulation was in order to get to JC, you have to get through Fatal Influence. Jada Parker, she made it through Jasmine, so now it's
Hmm.
Lash's turn to try to make it through Fallon. How are you feeling about this match going in, especially with Lash and her performance at Evolution?
Yeah, well, and you said it right there, man. The Evolution show, the two to me like was like my goodness, Lash and Sol Ruka are just absolute superstar, can't miss. There's absolutely no way neither of those two aren't like headlining PLEs in the future. So huge, huge Lash fan. The one thing she did in this Fallon match, because Fallon is completely solid as well,
Hmm.
very, very great talent. The one thing she did I've never seen before was when Lash had Fallon like horizontal, you know where I'm going with this?
Uh-huh.
And put her in between the ropes and did an up and down.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I popped so big for that.
So did Jelly Roll. Fun fact. Notice,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you
sorry, I
got that
forgot to
pic of it,
mention.
man.
I forgot to mention the Jelly
Yeah.
Roll was in the crowd, and shout out to Fightful for retweeting that because that
Hmm.
went viral within seconds. Um, but
That was
J-
amazing.
dude, Jelly Roll was cracking up, and I myself, being as loud as I am, I say, "Yo, Jelly Roll, you better do that
Nice.
to Logan Paul on Saturday," and he was like, "Yeah." So,
If that
hey, we'll
happens, I'm
see.
giving you the credit. That's
Yeah,
great.
we'll see. We'll see. But it was that was amazing, dude. I think I've
Yeah.
seen her do that one other time.
Okay. I have never
Um,
seen
and
that.
I think it might have been to EO. I want to say
Okay.
one of the times that EO came down
Okay.
in a tag match. I want to say that might have been when it was. It was either EO or when Asuka and Kyrie came down for a tag match, like
Yeah.
last year sometime. But dog, I love it. She's so
Yeah.
creative and she really uses her like physical stature to her advantage. Like big time.
Exactly.
She's doing what Raquel is doing now, but Lash has been doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Well put. And it's funny. Like a thing that we do on our podcast, not every week because of if we're doing like PLE previews and stuff, but we do what's called the spot of the week.
Hmm.
And that would have been my nominee for spot of the week this week. You know, some shows do wrestler of the week or the show of the week, whatever. And so I
Right.
just want to give a little highlight to just a really cool spot of like all the wrestling I've watched that week. That would have been my nominee for this week because I saw that was like that's amazing. It's just what a showcase for her and her power. And what ends up happening? Yeah, there was like a little tease. I don't. Najee, do you get to watch the broadcast like the next day to see like Vic and Booker and all
Sometimes
them?
I do, sometimes I
Yeah,
don't because I just don't want to take away from like the in-person experience.
right.
It's like when you go to like a Monday Night Raw or something, it's very rare that you kind of watch it back. Like, but
Yeah. And
I
so I said that because like I think Vic at least like teased a little bit of like, you know, what she did eliminating Nia Jax at
mhm.
Evolution, right? So then of course we know what ends up
Yep.
happening and it's like, ah, okay.
Oh yeah. For those who didn't watch and who are watching us to catch up, Nia Jax surprised the whole entire
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Usually, whenever people pop up, we can see them. Like we can kind of see them hiding off to the side of like the NXT pillar, but we didn't see her at all. Like she really surprised everyone. Genuine shock, genuine pop. Like it was fantastic. So um I think this interference by Nia Jax is really setting the bar for what to expect with Lash. And I think it's another tryout. Evolution was tryout number one. And now if you put her on a one-on-one match against a very recent women's champion, that says something, especially if Lash walks away with a win, then like shoot put a racket on her back at that point.
Yeah. I'm really
Um
wondering too. So one of my friends asked me like if we think this is a feud that'll kind of be one week on NXT and then on SmackDown like the
mhm.
next week. Like I wonder if it's going to have those threads. We've had a lot of those these past couple of months where like before Roxanne got pulled up, she'd be in the crowd and like
Yeah,
maybe watching Bailey. So I hope it does
I
because
do
that's
too.
always just like an added little bonus of okay, they're really giving some importance to this.
Yeah, and with Trick, Trick is obviously going in this next draft. There's no way he's not.
Well, oh
And
yeah, you'd have
obviously
to
his
think
his
so.
relationship with Lash is very public, and she's on a level to where she can also get called up to at the same time. I know they like to try to
Agree.
keep couples together. Like I think the only couple that really isn't together right now is Miles Bourne and Stephanie Vakir. I think those are the only two that aren't really everywhere together. But shout out to Fallon Henley for taking advantage of the Nia Jax interference and pulling off the win. Now, this causes more shade to be thrown at Jasmine.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what's getting ready to happen with Fatal Influence. And it should be really, really good. I'm excited for it. I forgot what camera I was looking at for a second. I was looking at my phone when I'm down here.
It's a multitasking pod, man,
Yeah,
this
dude, I'm
week. It
trying. I'm
is.
trying. Y'all bear with me on this episode.
You're doing good,
But
man.
but yeah, hopefully this means main roster situations and opportunities for Lash Legend, even though she picked up the loss. One more time. Shout out to Fallon Henley. Woman slays it, kills it every single week. Super excited for her. Now we're gonna go into my personal match of the night and one of the match of the year nominees for me. Javon Evans versus Wes Lee.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, if you guys can just base it off of watching the crowd by itself, the last 10 to 15 minutes of that match, nobody in that building was sitting down.
Hmm.
Nobody. It started off high energy from the jump. We got a coast to coast from Javon Evans, which is a swanton
It's
kick to
crazy.
the face, coast to coast from Javon Evans. And it was hilarious because they didn't catch it on the camera, but he looked in Wes's eyes and said, I'm crazy, bro. And then right before he
Ha!
jumped, and I'm like, man, it was too good. And there was so much on the
Yeah.
line. Trick was sitting there locked in doing commentary, watching. I
Right.
heard Trick was actually really funny and hilarious on commentary.
Hmm.
They said he did a fantastic job. But damn, dude, this should have been a PLE match.
Yeah, I
But
think those two guys are like wrestling soulmates. You
oh
know,
man, it's perfect.
Wes being in NXT for, a couple of years now, he's had his injury and everything, but like, when he came in as part of like the Rascals group, right? And it's just like you watch this guy and it's like, man, the stuff you're doing. There ain't a lot of people who can do that. And then here we are a couple of years later, Javon Evans comes on the scene and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, you're doing this stuff too? Okay. So yeah, I mean, who knows where their careers are going to go, but like these guys could like match up and just do just stuff that like only the two of them together can do. And
You know what it
that's
reminds me of?
so special. Hmm.
You know what it reminds me of? Anytime the Rob Van Dam would fight Jeff Hardy.
Okay, yeah,
That's exactly
yeah.
what it reminds me of. And that's
Rob
I feel
Van
like,
Dam, Jerry Lynn, like those
yeah,
two
dude.
guys, yeah, like you
Like
guys are just lockstep with each
in
other.
my childhood, that was like the coolest thing I could ever see on a match
Yeah.
card was RVD versus Jeff. And my first ever wrestling event, the same Raw that I just recently posted about, I saw them fight each other in a ladder match in Grand Rapids to unify the European Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. And it is
Wow.
still probably one of the coolest memories I have to this day. But shout out to Javon Evans for pulling off the win. I guess this really does put him in a number one contender spot since nobody is really chasing after the titles now other than him, off of the advice that The Undertaker gave him. And
Right.
basically the same way that this kind of was for Lash, having the push from Nia to start getting the recognition and start moving up. I think that The Undertaker, speaking with Javon, that was the first step to him getting ready to take on the mantle of being the face of NXT.
Yeah.
So shout out, man. What do you think is next for Wesley though? Because Wesley has the high rise now, but he's not really chasing a title. He's just
Yeah.
kind of there and in the background of Trick and all that.
Yeah, and that's why I was glad to see that spotlight. And yeah, he's kind of, buddy buddy with Trick a little bit. They've done, I think, some little bit of TNA stuff. So I know the high rise guys tease like, hey, maybe Trick, you pull a little bit of your weight around and let us get a TNA tag title shot.
Hmm,
All right. So,
okay.
you got that in the background that maybe he's a part of. It's a good question, man, because yeah, he's the guy, like I said, he comes in with the tag team. I think what they immediately won that Dusty Classic
Hmm.
when they debuted. He has a great North American title run, a real bad injury, are out for a long, long time, and the heel turn worked. In relation to the other Rascal guys and everything else, and then yeah, the high rise stuff. It hasn't been given like a forefront story yet,
Hmm.
so I'm not sure. I mean, I hope they keep building it. I want to see them get more opportunities. The high rise guys are still pretty young on the scene as well, so you see some potential, but I need to see more. I need to see more. So I don't know if he needs to break away from them at some point to kind of reestablish where he was as a singles, but it's going to be interesting to see because you're right. He's kind of in this, up and down sort of career spot right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I wish the best for Wes, truthfully.
Yeah, awesome guy.
I've even held up signs that said I don't care, I will not boo for Wesley. I just will not.
Yeah,
I think another shot at the North American title would be pretty cool. If not,
absolutely.
send his ass to the main roster because he is like, why not?
He's
Why not?
he's a talented guy, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
he could make it there, but no question about it. It's just
Yeah.
getting in the right spot.
That's right. All right. So now we are at our main event, which was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot shorter than I think a lot of us wanted it to be. But it ended up being really fun, and it was a good nostalgic moment for some of the old school fans. We had Santino Marella versus Ethan Page. We even started the Ethan
Yes,
Page chant in the crowd, and he
that was
hated it.
clutch.
So great match. Not too exciting of an ending. Ethan Page ends up getting the win. There was no Cobra action on air,
Right.
but as soon as the camera ended, like the show ended, and the cameras cut off. We got a good redemption behind it. Ethan ran back into the ring from the ramp to start stomping out Santino. Santino eventually reversed him, got the Cobra out, gave him the old Cobra, and Ethan Page sold it in the greatest way I think I have ever seen. Just literally stiff
He was like stunned. Yeah,
and
exactly.
and
Yeah.
fell backwards and then laid like this for a solid 5 minutes. I
Yeah.
kid you not. He sold so well. Um,
Amazing.
but shout out to Santino. I think this is like his first time in a WWE match in like 13 years or something like that, is what they
I
were
think you're
saying.
right. Yeah.
Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy, crazy. It was an awesome thing to see. Ariana Grace actually started off the show in a dark match, and then
Oh, okay.
Santino ended the night. So that's a pretty cool like dad and daughter moment for NXT that I
Yeah.
don't think has ever happened before. My question now for you about this, now that this whole entire thing has happened, and yet another TNA representative has lost to NXT. Do you think that this so-called invasion that we keep hearing about is actually going to happen? And do you think it's going to be at a PLE? Do you think they'll come to the PC? Like.
I would like to think it'll come to the PC.
Mhm.
I would hope so. I think where things came out of the TNA Slammiversary with JC taking the world title, with Trick retaining the TNA title. And I think a lot of people, the TNA NXT partnership has been really well received.
Mhm.
And I think the results of Slammiversary had some people going, are we too heavy on the NXT for this partnership? Are we making TNA look too below their level? I don't subscribe to that just yet because if you're a TNA fan, you know that their biggest show that they like to, as their WrestleMania is Bound for Glory.
Mhm.
That's coming up in October. If we come out of Bound for Glory and TNA hasn't given the comeuppance to NXT, like in some sort of invasion like that by now, taking the titles away from Trick and from JC, then I think some of those criticisms that maybe I've seen have a little bit of validity of going like, all right, are we partnership or we're just having NXT be like the beatdown guys.
Yeah.
So I'm reserving my overall here. It's one of those let it play out. I think Bound for Glory is October, so we're still a couple months away. But yeah, I think to make it effective, TNA needs to come to the NXT turf and show that like no, we want our titles back.
Yeah.
Let Santana lead the charge, man.
Yeah.
He's
So,
been fantastic in his NXT appearances.
what would be awesome? NXT versus TNA in a War Games match. And like you
Bingo.
said, Bound
I
for
love
Glory is
that.
in October. The next PLE
Hmm.
right after that is Survivor Series. So we can get three War Games matches in one night, and I think that'd be awesome. And it'd be a great chance to showcase TNA talent on a PLE level and NXT on a PLE level. I
Yeah.
hope I hope they don't do it to where they take NXT somewhere else that weekend and then have the War Games match because that would kind of suck. I think it would be a lot of fun if they did that in front of the whole entire world for everybody to really see.
Right.
My hope for it is that we do get the Invasion PLE and the whole entire
Yeah.
PLE is just TNA versus NXT. And maybe that's what we get at Survivor Series. That'll be their PLE. It'll be like the
Right.
Invasion. So they could
I
they could
I
throw it
like
in
that
San
idea.
Diego. I'd like
What
it
a,
too,
what
man.
and what about like a traditional like Survivor Series match too?
With all three of
You
the
could do that.
champions, dude. I want that so bad.
You could totally do that as well. Like that's something that has gone away with the rise of war games and everything, but like, maybe you bring it back too cuz you just don't see I don't see like elimination matches other than like really I guess like the elimination chamber.
Yeah.
You don't see those type of matches so much. Like we've on Raw, you get like gauntlet matches and triple threats and fatal four ways, and like, but we don't usually get the the continuation, like a Survivor Series of like we're eliminated and then we continue on. So
Yeah,
I
I miss
personally
those
kind of miss
matches.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, because they used to wear the t-shirts, like they'd have the red
Yes.
t-shirts and the blue
Yes.
t-shirts, and then
Yeah.
like it's one by one elimination. Like you can still have 5-on-5, and then the numbers
Exactly.
just go down slowly as the match goes, dude. I think it's a good idea to bring that back.
I'd like them to mix that in if they could. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Well, hey, my friends, that wraps it up for the matches that were on the old card for NXT this week. So now we're going to move into the part of the show. We don't have much time left where I get to ask my guests three random questions, just for you guys to get to know them a little bit more. And, for myself too, I like to get to know my friends. Plus, I
Yeah.
like a good origin story. So, all right. So the first question, this is a question that I've been asking every guest so far. I think it's a solid question to ask. Everybody likes WrestleMania. So what is your favorite WrestleMania moment? What is the one that pops out to you from your
Oh.
lifetime? What is it?
Well, my number one is it's Rock and Hogan at 18. That match I can go back and watch any day. I absolutely love that match. And it's a big part of it is the crowd. The crowd is just so hyped for everything that those guys did. And, with Hogan's passing, I rewatched it again just the other day. Um, the part that gets me so much is when Hulk does the Hulk up
Mm-hmm.
and he hits the leg drop. And Jim Ross has my favorite line I've ever heard in wrestling broadcast. He hits the leg and he goes, "He beat Andre the Giant with that
With that
move."
move, yeah.
And I get chills. I'm getting chills just talking about that. That is like everything of wrestling because like that's I'm a little older than you, Najee. Like I started getting in wrestling at WrestleMania 2.
Hmm.
Hogan was my guy. WrestleMania 3, right? The whole thing. Everybody knows that all. And to have that kind of that full circle moment, and then of course Rock coming out on top and the passing of the torch, where he gives him those props on the side
Yep.
or by the stage. Absolutely perfection. I've been to two manias. Been to 23 and 28, and so I'd say my in person one 28, I was there for the Shawn Michaels retirement
Okay. Heck
with
yeah.
Undertaker and the
I
rematch of
think
that
that's
one. And 20,
25. Five?
maybe 26,
Maybe.
I'm going to
Yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah. Because I
I
was
think
gonna say
25 was
28.
Texas, I want
Yeah,
to
because
say.
I was gonna say he wrestled Triple H 2 years in a row, I think. Undertaker did.
Yes,
So yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Yeah, 26. Yeah,
Yep.
23 was in Detroit, Ford Field. That was fun. It was just a spectacle of all things. And then 28, yeah, seeing Sean and Taker in Sean's retirement match
Heck yeah,
because we're
man.
we're not going to talk about the Saudi match from a decade later. I don't I
Yep.
don't even have that in my memory.
Oh yeah, I ain't mad at you. Well, all right, we've knocked out the WrestleMania moment. So now here's a question that I feel like everybody has been talking about, especially with the recent passing of Hogan. Who's on your wrestling Mount Rushmore? Who are your four?
Ooh, great question. Yeah, it's probably Hogan, Austin, Flair, and for me, I would say Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Shawn Michaels is just, his entire career, when you look at that body of work and the matches he put on, from the Rockers days to his retirement, just phenomenal stuff. And I loved, especially his second act.
Mm-hmm.
Just great feuds with Jericho, with Triple H. His match with Triple H at SummerSlam 2002 is my second favorite match of all time, his comeback match.
Heck yeah.
So he's my number four. I mean, there's so many guys you can make arguments for. I feel like, yeah, Hogan, Austin, Flair are always going to be my three locked in,
Mhm.
and then that fourth, could maybe, depending on the day, I could switch it up. But
I like it.
all respect to HBK. I love that
All
guy.
right. Shout out to the Mount Rushmore. Brian's out
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore. It's a good one. All right. Last question. What was your favorite non-wrestling sports moment?
Ooh,
Because
good
us
question.
being from Michigan, we got a good
Yeah,
amount.
man. That's good. So I'm actually, like talk about like learning, right?
Yeah.
I'm from Pittsburgh originally.
Okay. Okay.
I
You
moved to
just
Michigan in 2004. I was
okay.
24 years of age.
There we go.
So I've been in Michigan for 21 years now. So right, I got a whole lot of that too.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite would have to be Super Bowl 40 for the Steelers in Ford Field,
Oh yeah.
beating the Seahawks. So I was living in Lansing at the time. I had some friends come up, and I was just a poor radio DJ. But I still had about $1,000 on me to try to scalp a ticket to go into the Super Bowl at Ford Field. Didn't get it. and we literally tailgated outside Ford Field from like 7:30 in the morning until the game was over. We had our TV in the trunk of my buddy's car running off his car battery to power it. And and yeah, and just, it was a Steelers invasion of the city, being that it's like 4 hours, 4.5 hours
Hmm.
away. And so yeah, I didn't get to go in, but just being there, I had my buddies with me, and to be, in my home state to see my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, win the Super Bowl was top of the line. I still,
Heck
hope
yeah.
to get in the building at some point for a Super Bowl, but who knows? Dreams change when you get wife and kids and
Yeah.
everything else, man. But yeah, that was super cool. It's gonna be tough to top that.
Heck yeah, man. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those fun facts about yourself. And thank you so much for joining me this week, dude. It's awesome. I hit you up maybe about a month and a half ago, and I'm
Yeah.
happy we got to see it really just come all together and
Yeah,
great
exactly,
conversation,
man.
brother. Great
And it was
conversation.
about a year ago that we met. We
Yeah.
met at the
Yep.
SummerSlam
SummerSlam.
last year in Cleveland. I was looking, it was like, I think August 3rd was the day.
Yeah.
My buddy Kevin, who's on the podcast, he knew Whip from his indie wrestling days. All
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Whip
And he was
dog.
like, that's you, right? That's you, Whip. And so that's how we got to meet at that lunch table there in the
Yep.
Marriott or wherever it was. So I'm glad we got to do this. I'll definitely have you back on. We always bring on guests for our PLE picks, and with WWE now, right now, there's a PLE like every third week, it
Yeah.
seems. So
It's quite nice, though. I like it. I'm not complaining.
I know it gives us something to talk about, man, and get excited for. So I'm
Hmm.
sure we'll make that happen before year's end, man. And I appreciate the invite and everything else.
Yes, sir, man. And once again, thank you so much for being here. If you would like to plug into everybody with your social medias one more time so that we can support you.
Yeah, it's at that WrestlePod is the social media for our Twitter X, our Instagram, our Facebook as well. Again, the YouTube's the biggest, though. It's youtube.com/ that wrestling podcast. Again, content every single week you'll get with us there for sure. And we do have merchandise. I'm wearing actually our knockoff NWO logo tee here,
Nice.
TWP. It's at whatamaneuver.net. And then they have so many different stores there on that site. So, just search that wrestling podcast. And we've got shirts and hoodies and tanks and all kinds of different stuff there. So if you want
Yes,
to pick
sir.
up a shirt too, greatly appreciated, man. And hope to check out more and more listeners as we continue on.
That's right. Well, all right, my friends, that wraps it up for today's episode of NXT with Najee, part of the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast and bodyslam.net. We will be back next week with our first fan guest of the season. It's been an absolute honor having Brian Cristy on. It's been great talking to you guys. Please make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, follow, do whatever you guys can. You can follow me on everything at NXT with Najee. That's all I got for you today. Peace.
That's great. Life is for the dreamers like me. Journey down the stream.